What is going on, Skye Squad? We are back with another video, and yes, I'm still on the road. I mean, y'all might as well call me Richie the Road Runner at this point. But we need to talk about love and marriage, Huntsville. Yes, it is that time. I'm trying to remember what the episode was called. It was These Lips Don't Lie, I think it was called. All right, so this episode is honestly, it was a 10 for me because it was a masterclass in reality TV, if you ask me, especially in terms of entertainment value, right? But there was also some things that really bothered me about the episode, and so we'll obviously get into those things. Now, again, because I'm driving and I want to be at least as consistent as possible with my recaps, there may be things that I don't remember in the same sequential, in the sequential order that they happened. But, I, again, am working to be as consistent as possible with my recaps while still, doing what I need to do for the fam, right? So, for me, it was a masterclass because as I watched Mel question Latricia, baby, that was a seasoned veteran literally eating up a newbie who has no idea what world she is stepping into. But Latricia has made things difficult for herself. And so this was just more of that, right? And I just want to scream, I think we've all been saying it from the beginning, Latricia, just either you should have gave Martell the same energy that he gave you and kept it pushing, or I do agree with what Mel said. If this narrative had been out there and you accepted the invitation, you probably should have pulled her to the side and had a conversation about, hey, this is what's being said. The situation has been evolving in terms of my storytelling. But even that, but you know what though? That wouldn't have happened because Latricia has been unable to really give us what feels like the real truth of what's happened. And because we don't always know that Martell is a reliable witness, meaning we don't know what versions of things we're going to get from him, it's very hard to determine what the truth is and what timeline it happened. And for Latricia, that timeline is interesting because was it while Melody was on her way out of the relationship, or was it while she was married to Marquez, or was it while she was getting to know Ken, which she says it wasn't? It was just a lot of confusion. And Melody was asking question after question. I was like, girl, Latricia, maybe you should have practiced before you came to lunch or something. I really don't know. But girl, I need you to get it together, okay? I need you to get it together because every time I watch a conversation with Latricia, I just end up more confused. And this is not a dislike of Latricia because I think she's intriguing. There's something intriguing about a person who kind of gets stuck in their own storytelling. That's very interesting to me to watch and to try to understand and unpack why, especially when you already have a situation on your own with your ex and your new man, it's fascinating to me. It's just fascinating. But that inquisition of Latricia, baby, ooh, wee. Again, not ready for it at all. Latricia, I need you to, can you make us a diagram of the timeline for which you were involved with whomever, so that I can fully understand? Because I just want to know, because it's being talked about on the show. All right. And then get everybody in the room. Martell, Melody, Marquez, and Ken. And then draw me a diagram. Okay? Go from 2015 to 2014, and then lay it all out. And I think we'll be on our way. Maybe they need to just have a meeting in that boardroom that they used to meet in when they were discussing the Black Expo. Okay, get them all in the room and lay it out on a giant whiteboard for us. And then I think we could settle this. All right. Now, producers, if you really want to help me and the audience understand it, what you will do is put it up on a card, on a title card, you know, like one of those things that they will post on the during the show. You know, so and so something happened and they stopped filming. Did they do that for Stormy? I don't know. If they did, I blinked and I missed it, because it's like Stormy is just like gone with the wind. And you know, I think that there should have been like a can we get an explanation? And maybe we got one. I know that I think she did a special with Carlos King and I did not see it, and I don't even know how to go back and find it, to be honest with you. So I'm gonna have to, if somebody got the link, send it to me so I can see it. Maybe it was explained in. Anyway, let's go back to the beginning of the episode, because we're back at the Big D playground at the park situation, where much of the cast is. Again, Ken and Latricia definitely should have been there. We know why Melody wouldn't be there, so that explains that. So Martell and Marsau are still going at it. Now, Martell is accusing Marsau of, I guess, having some alleged affair with somebody's name that they keep bleeping out. And every time they bleep out a name, I'd be like, oh, I'm so frustrated, because I'm just like, it makes, like, I'm thrown off. And because I'm so thrown off, I'm just like, wait, who did what with whom and how? And somehow Martell ends up accusing Latisha of something that I'm really not quite clear on. And I shouldn't have to watch it several times to be, again, I need a diagram, okay? When the accusations start flying and people start talking over top of each other, I kind of like zone out a little bit, because, you know, none of these accusations, like, if he ran to his car to get the receipts about Marsau, and then it turned into Latisha and her having some accusations thrown her way, which I felt like was like, I just felt like that was, I felt like that was low. You know, Latisha is always the person who is hurt the most in these situations between Marsau and Martell. And I think there are two different dynamics at play in this situation. You know, Martell is upset that Marsau has said he lost respect for him. And Martell, as a way to get even or to get back, wants to throw out the allegations of Marsau and these affairs, for which he says he has proof of on his phone, but the phone is never shown, at least not to us on camera. And then he goes into the accusations about Latisha, which I didn't see evidence of such as well. Now, I don't know how Marsau was able to contain himself at this point when those accusations are being tossed at Latisha, especially as I felt like the energy Martell was directing towards Latisha was just like not cool at all to me. I felt like somebody else, if it wasn't going to be Marsau, somebody like a Chris Fletcher or like a Maurice needed to step in front of him and say, bro, don't do that. That we gotta draw the line somewhere. I just felt like that should have happened personally. I didn't like it. That felt odd to me that it was allowed to happen. And I think Kimmy tried to express that to Marsau or either Maurice or someone. And I think that the other dynamic that's at play here is that Martell is mad and upset at Marsau, and is determined to keep going in on him. But the thing that is also at play here is that Marsau seems uninterested in even having any level of friendship or association with Martell. So Martell is essentially in a fight with someone who no longer cares. So it's almost like Martell is fighting the air at this point. Marsau seems very much done with Martell. Like very much done. I mean, he essentially says it, I think, at certain points during the episode. And I think that he is essentially just done. And I think that's that. I did agree with Kimmy and I did agree with Destiny that the way that he spoke to Latisha was dead wrong. And somebody should have put a stop to that. We also see a scene where, Latisha and Marsau recap the situation, and there's some discussion about, Latisha wanting to get him a new wedding band, or, some type of new ring or whatever. Now, because Marsau works in the world of construction and development, there's an aspect of me that can understand if he doesn't wear a ring because of his work. But they also make these like rubber bands as well that people who work with their hands a lot can wear, particularly because it means something to the other spouse, whether that's the man or the woman, right? So for me, if you're not wearing it because you might be working out, you might be jumping in a swimming pool, or working in mud, or dirt, or doing something with your hands, then that to me makes sense. But if you know that your wife would prefer that you wear your ring, particularly in light of her always having to catch strays about allegations, I think that just wearing the ring, to me, it's like, what that should be like okay, cool, whatever. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Even if it doesn't mean the same thing to you that it means to her, I think that that's just the thing about, being in a relationship. It's like a compromise. Like, why not wear something just to honor and to show that you really do respect and hear what she is saying? Particularly, like I said, because she does catch a lot of strays that are aimed at Marsau. That's just me. And I think that there is a bit of hypocrisy at times with Marsau, that while I respect him standing 10 toes down about not wanting a relationship with Martell, when he reacts to Martell such that he feels like he needs to apologize to Destiny, it's okay for him to react, right? But when Latisha reacts, you know, I feel like he talks down to her, and I understand that he probably wants her to always come across as, you know, like, you know, I guess he just wants her to come across looking upstanding in some way, shape, or form, without recognizing that she is human and she is allowed to react and make mistakes. And if somebody is coming for her, she's allowed to clap back in the same way that he has often clapped back. So I just don't always like the fact that it feels like he's allowed to react however he chooses to, but she has to maintain this, like, you know, classy, like, demeanor, when that's not always life and that's not reality. And we all have those moments where we fall short. And I think she should be given the same amount of grace that she gives to him. But I do think that it was good of him to recognize that he needed to apologize to Destiny. And I think he should also apologize to Latisha for just even being in catching the strays. Like, he should be out buying her a new ring, okay? For the mess that his statements have put her in, for which I will have you guys remember that in a previous episode, she mentioned something to that effect about how she didn't want what Marsau had said to spiral into what it eventually did spiral into. Probably because she knew she would be catching the strays in said argument. And so they're going, you know, it's like circling the drain with Martell and Marsau, and it sounds to me like Marsau is ready to just get out of the drain. Speaking of Marsau, Chris Fletcher stops by and they have a conversation about some work stuff that I just kind of zoned out about. I do appreciate that this show shows, you know, the business aspect of, you know, what these people are working on. I love that because it just shows that, to me anyway, it shows that, hey, you know, like, my grandfather used to work in construction as well, so he had his own business as well. But it's just nice to see these things, I think, and be reminded that, yeah, like, we out here doing it. Anyway, and many of y'all may not need that reminder, but, you know, it's nice to me that we see it. We see a conversation that happens with Chris and Marsau about what happened with Martell and Marsau, and Marsau is just like, I'm done with it. And you, as I've stated before, you know, Marsau points out that, Chris, you're friends with him, but he's repeatedly called your wife a side chick to her face, and you are still cool with that. And I'm like, I've been screaming the same thing, like who in your friend group would dare call your wife or your husband a side piece and you be okay with it? I mean, Chris says, well, yeah, you know, and I got on him about that or something. And I'm like, and Marsau was like, well, he still continues to do it. And I'm like, that's true. That's the truth. So I always be looking at Chris Fletcher kind of like, I think you're a great businessman, but like, you need to definitely place a harder boundary on that for your wife. Because yet again, the wife is catching the stray in the situation. There's a conversation that happens with Melody and Latisha. Melody is checking in after the girls' trip. The first thing I will say is, I'm not usually a fan of a bob. Was that a bob that Melody had? If it was, I like that kind of bob. That's the kind of bob I like. that's the kind of Bob that bobs. And the blonde was the blonde Bob was it, that was the look right there. That was the look. And Latisha's look in her confessional, I thought there's this look that they've been giving her that has been spectacular too. So they sit down for a Ponderosa, and Melody checks in about the girls' trip. I think that was the start of it, and then gets into Maurice's DUI. Now, in this regard, Melody is doing the reality TV work, okay? Somebody's got to ask the questions, especially about a DUI. We've seen it happen on literally every show this season, it feels like. We've seen it on Real Housewives of Orange County. We've seen it on Real Housewives of Potomac. And I'm wondering if at times the show often needs someone in a position to say, we don't condone this behavior, right? Because we haven't really seen anyone on this show outside of Melody say that that's not, we don't like do better, right? We haven't really seen anybody have that conversation with Marsau. Now with Kimmy, I can understand definitely why it hasn't happened. If they are still in the litigation process of trying to get it dismissed, then I'm pretty sure they're probably gonna have to be extra careful about that. But Latisha also had a conversation with Marsau about it. So again, that's the reality TV work of it all, because we've got to acknowledge that it happened. And what I don't even think I realized when it happened, that he was posting afterwards with a bottle in his hand, you know, like let's party down, shake it to the ground. I don't think I realized that at the time. So it has to be addressed, right? And somebody's got to do it. So that's just the way reality TV works, right? Now, the part that I feel like I was lost on was this red lipstick, the red lipstick, the pink lips, or whatever like that. When I saw the mugshot, and I'm not looking at it right now, obviously, I didn't see all that, but I'm colorblind anyway, so I'm lucky enough to see the red, the green, and the yellow light at the stoplights, okay? I mean, of course I can see them, but y'all know what I'm saying. And red and pink can be one of those color combinations. That doesn't matter, who cares? What I'm saying is, I didn't see the red lipstick, so for me, I don't know where that came from. But I do think that asking Latisha is a waste of time. I think that question should have been directed to Kimmy. Period. Because you're not going to get anywhere with Latisha on that one. To be quite honest with you, you're just not. Latisha, at the end of the day, has just been accused of something from Martell. I don't know what the accusation was, because it seemed like half of that conversation was bleeped out. And then Marsau has just been accused of something as well by Martell. So I don't think that Latisha, but Mel wasn't at that event, so she don't know that. So I don't think that asking Latisha about some red lipstick on Maurice is gonna yield anything, because I think she's gonna be extra careful about having any conversations that might lean towards it looking like Maurice was doing something that he wasn't doing. I just don't think I don't think that that's gonna happen. But if that is the thing that is being said, then somebody on the show was gonna say it. But I think it should have been said directly to Kimmy. That's what I'm saying. I think if the question is gonna be asked, go to Kimmy. period. Because if Kimmy can't talk about the accident, she can respond to this red lipstick thing. That's to me, that's how we get down to the bottom of, girl, they said there was some red lipstick on him. Was it yours? Cause girl, listen, I done been through some things, and I'm checking all the men in this group right now. Okay? Now, girl, was it yours? All right. But so now, I'm trying to think if I missed anything. So now we sit down with Mel's Ponderosa with Latricia. Man, Latricia, I be rooting for you. I really do. I be rooting for you all the time. But, you know, it sounds to me like Melody was trying to figure out that timeline. And for as much as Melody did her Inspector Gadget, I still didn't come away any clearer. I just didn't. But I did think it was a good question that Melody asked about, hey, did you at any point in time think that maybe you should have had a conversation with me if you're coming on my trip, since everybody's talking about this whole situation? I do agree with that. But again, I don't think that Latricia was going to have that conversation, because up until even in the conversation with Melody, we didn't really I couldn't tell if Latricia was telling us the truth or not. Cause was it August or autumn? Like, I mean, I just don't know. Like, I mean, we didn't get no clarity. So if the point of that conversation was to get clarity, we ain't get none. And that's just that. And I wonder for Mel if she's trying to figure out, like, who am I dealing with here, right? When I think back on this conversation, this may not be a good equivalent. It's probably not. It made me think about Tammy and Evelyn at the end of season 2, when they got into it about, when the truth came out about Evelyn, you know, I guess being with Tammy's man, and Evelyn saying nobody knew about Tammy. So, like, what, girl, why didn't you tell me? So in my mind, I kind of wondered if it was something like that. Like, the man is not really a factor in this situation, but it is kind of a factor of, like, what type of person are you? What, like, who am I dealing with type of situation? So I don't know. I don't really know. I think Latricia needs to be just 100% transparent about that whole situation. But I think it's difficult now because she's parsed out information and then she's taking stuff back. So who knows what, and again, that's why you need them in the boardroom with the whiteboard and everybody in the room. But we probably know that ain't gonna happen, because I don't even think that, you know, I don't think we'd be able to get all of them in the room, and I don't think it'd be smart anyway. So who knows what the case is? But you know, I'll be watching to see what happens. So overall, I thought it was a good episode. I forgot about this. Destiny sat down for a conversation with Martell about, you know, his actions at the Big D playground event. And it sounded like she tried to hold him accountable for the things that he was saying to Latisha and about Latisha. And it felt to me, was still standing 10 toes down in, well, Marsau and Latisha are one. And if he come at me, I'm taking them both down. You know, I just think you have to be very careful about stuff like that. Like, I think sometimes Martell on the show will sometimes not realize that as he's trying to burn someone else's house down, that he's also burning his down too. It's kind of like that phrase, that saying that says the grave that you're trying to dig for me, you fall into. I think I heard that somewhere. So it's like, you know, you got to be careful about doing those types of things, because it usually backfires. So I do think he owes Latisha an apology. But will it happen? I don't know, because I think Latisha's probably going to end up taking the same stance that Marsau takes, and distancing herself as well from Martell in the way that Marsau is. So that's the episode, y'all. I mean, a lot of things happened in this episode. Like things were moving, questions were being asked, you know, and you know, it was a doozy of an episode. I am going to be interested to see what happens as the season progresses with Kimmy and Melody after this conversation with Latisha about this red lipstick and where that is going to go. Because I think that that's going to cause some major friction between Kimmy and Melody. So we'll be watching to see how that plays out. All right. So with that being said, y'all, listen, y'all be safe out there today. It is the weekend. It is a nice day. So get out in the sun and move around as much as you guys can. If you guys are still interested in learning more about travel and how you can travel for cheap, definitely tap into the Rich Life at 202-918-3386. 202-918-3386. Links are in the description for all of my trips. We got Cape Town coming up, Thailand coming up, and we got Zanzibar coming up. So tap in, and with that being said, I'll catch y'all in the next video.